Hello everyone, I'm Silly Squirrel.
And this is Master Rein.
And we are ReviveMeBroGames, a gaming podcast where two best buddies discuss cooperative games, multiplayer games, and so much more. How you doing, Master Rein?
Bro, I am doing well. Thanks for asking, my friend. How are you doing today, sir?
Good, man. I'm super excited about today's topic. It's one we've been debating about doing for quite some time now. And yeah, just looking forward to it, man.
Now is the time. If there was ever a time to do a topic, it's now, actually. We're at the perfect time of year for this to happen, everybody. But yeah, it's a topic we've been looking forward to for some time. Silly Squirrel and I are very old men, as you know. At this point, we're old farts, and we've made.
Speak for yourself, dude.
And if y'all don't know by now, or if it's a surprise, drum roll. A baby squirrel is on the way, everybody. You know, the squirrel pregnancy cycle is very quick. So, like, your baby can happen every time. Like, it's very quick. Like, it's a turnaround. You know what I'm saying? It's just like boom, right? But that being said, dude, yeah. Well, would you like to kind of introduce that topic since we're talking about it so much? I guess just really talk about it. What we're doing today.
Before we do that, before we get into the topic, I was just gonna ask you, like, what you been up to? What you been playing lately, Master Rein?
You know, let's see. What have I been playing? Oh, Gundam. That's a big one. Oh yeah. A lot of Gundam.
Oh yeah,
a lot of Gundam.
Yeah, we've been playing a lot of Gundam.
At home by myself, I've been playing Breath of the Wild, so that's been pretty fun. And let's see, I have been playing some Dead Space on stream. That's been fun. I'm gonna try to finish that this weekend or like on Halloween, Hallows Eve ween. And man, I don't remember, like, I'm playing so many games right now, but like look at my Steam. But actually I have a few games that I bought that I would really want to play. One is Godfall. I really want to play that. And this other one is some like space RTS. Reminds me of God King Wululu. Yeah. Wololos.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, it looks pretty cool. I forgot what it's called though. It is called, wow, dude, I don't even. Homeworld Remastered. So it's pretty interesting. It looks pretty interesting. I want to try that out too. So I've got some stuff that I want to play, bro.
Homeworld Remastered.
Homeworld Remastered. Yeah.
Oh wow, you're actually gonna play that? Interesting.
Yeah, it was like $3 or like $2, and I was like, purchase.
I mean, it's a phenomenal real-time strategy.
Oh crap, my wife listens to this. Oh. Anyways, keep moving along.
Sorry, Aaron.
Moving along.
Yeah, this is why I don't talk about what I buy during the sales, because I'm pretty sure I spend way much more money.
Gabe
way much more.
Knows the access to the wallets of men.
Yep.
He knows the PIN numbers of every men's bank account that has a computer.
Yep. Yeah, I've been playing Cyberpunk Gundam, of course, Condemned on the stream, and my go-to lately has been WWE 2K22. Sadly,
my gosh.
Yeah, sadly, I had a whole show with the WWE Universe mode, and I wanted to, and this is just a warning for everyone that has this game. I had already spent, like, I think 2 months in game, which is, it's not that much, but it's already quite some time, right? 2 months in game. Everyone had like a really cool rivalry going on. I think you had a rivalry against against me, actually.
Nice.
And then Luis had a rivalry. Luis was currently the R&B champion, and he had a rivalry with the Terminator. And then Johnny Boy, I know, Johnny Boy and Sapito Muerto had a tag team rivalry against Daniel Bryan and CM Punk for the tag team championships, among other stuff. It was really entertaining. It was getting really cool. So
what happened? Hit us with the bad news.
So what happened was I realized I didn't have a Money in the Bank winner. But in order for me to do that, I decided to create my own Money in the Bank case. Because usually the game has its own default one that they use, but you can make your own. So of course I wanted to put the Revive Me Bro logo in it and everything. So I
Yes.
make it.
Yes.
I make it. I assigned someone that I thought had the money in the bank, but it apparently they didn't. It was really weird. It's like something to do with the game, but it's like even though they won a quote unquote Money in the Bank match, they didn't have a Money in the Bank. And just so for people that don't know, it's like usually a wrestler that has this case that says Money in the Bank, they can cash in and get a title shot whenever they want. So usually what wrestlers do is that usually after a big fight and the champion is like way too tired or like completely like whooped, that's when they cash in, you know? So it's really exciting, to be honest. And so I'm like, yeah, I'm going to make my own. And I made my own. It was really cool. I assigned it to this other character that I had. And once I saved it, it corrupted my WWE file. So, and then I found out that, and then for some reason, I found out that if you make your own Money in the Bank and assign it to a show, it corrupts that show. So now I can't play the show. It won't let me save. I still haven't figured out. So I can still play the game. Yeah, I can still play the game. I can still wrestle with my characters. It's just I can't have it as a show anymore. So there's not like a weekly thing where it's like your characters move in popularity and some characters get attacked by these other characters. So it's just, that's frustrating, of course. But yeah, I've been playing that a lot.
Nice, dude. Okay, well that's as equally as cool as it is sad.
Fuck you. It's like, wow, dude, so much into this.
And then corrupted.
Damn, okay, dude. So before we get into our topic at hand today, PSA for the pod, Master Rein.
We are available anywhere you get your podcast. You can also find us on Instagram at ReviveMeBroGames and Twitter at ReviveMeBro. If you like this podcast and you want to support us, please subscribe and rate the podcast. Also, check out our YouTube page with the latest streams and, of course, the pods. This is definitely the best way to support us and spread the word.
Awesome.
The word is the bird.
Thank you, Master Rein, for the PSA. So let's get to it. So the topic of today is being a dad gamer. So as Master,
papi.
I know, ay papi,
papi chulo,
papi, ven a mí.
My mom's gonna hear me. She'll be like, "Rey, what are you talking about down there?"
I know, right? Estoy hablando con Álvaro. I'm talking to Silly. It's like, ¿quién es Silly? I'm like, Mama, you should know by now. So like I said, like we're gonna be talking about what it's like to be a gamer, but also a dad. And as Master Rein foreshadowed earlier, I'm gonna be a dad pretty soon. And this has definitely been in the back of my head ever since I found out. And Master Rein, you know, if you've been following us for a while, you know that he has a little baby Yoda. And
little baby Yoda. Yoda.
And that, you know, I think he's done a really good job balancing out his, as far as I know, his life at home.
Oh, thanks, man. I mean, it looks that way, but I'm just kidding. No, we try it. You'll hear what the effort is, you know.
Yeah, and like I know your wife is very supportive of the pod. So I'm extremely grateful to her for that. This pod's gonna be a little different. We're not just gonna go and discuss things. We're actually gonna do things a little different. I'm gonna start with 4 questions for Master Rein, and then Master Rein's gonna ask me 4 questions. And the idea is just kind of a little bit of a back and forth. Yeah. We want this to be more informative than it is more of a discussion, because I have no idea what it's like to be a dad. Master Rein already has years of experience. So I think it would be really nice to just, you know, go back and forth and maybe learn a thing or two. Because I really do think that our generation might be the first or second generation that plays a ton of video games. And the only reason I say that is because I do have an uncle who's 10 years older than me, and he loves to play video games. He doesn't play them as much anymore, but he still, you know, he'll still play with his daughter and now and then he'll like play with me when he's over. For him, it's already like old school thing, something I do that's pretty old school.
That's
For
Gen
us,
Z
like
stuff, bro. That's
exactly
Gen Z stuff,
like
right? To them,
for
right?
us, it's still very much alive. Like like
Oh yeah,
we're playing the latest games. We're definitely paying attention to the latest consoles and information. We most of us just built our first computer, so
yeah,
it's. I don't
yeah,
think this is something that's gonna go away in the next 10 to 20 years, if that.
yeah, yeah,
Uh,
yeah. But the thing is that we are the elders of like what's currently happening because Twitch. I remember when it was Justin.tv. Let me just put it
mm-hmm.
like that. Yeah, you do too.
Yep.
I'm sure. I'm sure a lot
Oh
of
yeah.
kids remember that. But y'all were kids. Like you, I was like, I don't know if you guys were watching like 20 hours of South Park on that, like I used to.
Or Dragon Ball,
Or
yeah.
Dragon Ball. Yeah, it's sometimes the same episode for hours, but hey, it was playing, and you'd let it stream.
hmm So anyway, so let's get this started, Master Rain. And again, thank you so much for your in advance for your thoughts. Um, so I think my first, just so I'm gonna ask my 4 questions first, and then you can ask your 4 questions. Is that okay?
Yeah, that's perfect. I think that's perfect.
My first question would be: does your child see you play games? If
That's
not,
a
then
uh-huh.
why not?
It's a good question, and I think that's definitely a kind of question that like is a per family sort of thing. Like, right? Like what time do you watch TV? How much TV do you allow? Right? Like that's such a type of question that like I think coming into it, I think at first I was like, oh, I don't know if I want my child to watch me play video games. But once I'm there, it's like I don't have a lot of places to play video games in the house. So if I'm gonna play, my daughter's probably gonna see me. That being said, I pretty much bit the bullet and just like I know that she's gonna see me play video games. Which and what ends up happening is kids are they really like to like copy you, and they definitely want to grab that remote. It's not that they want to play; it's that they want to do what you're doing. Right? They don't even know what you're doing and playing. They don't even know that it's playing. They just want to also touch it and grab it because you're so focused on it, right? So, and I noticed that happening because I remember, like, as a kid, my little sister was like annoying. Oh, she just wants to play. She doesn't know how to play. But now, like seeing Dot, like seeing my daughter, she's like, it's like, oh, I see that she just wants to like, she knows the basics of what's happening, but she obviously doesn't get it. But when she grabs it, my remote, and looks at the TV because she's trying to pretend like I'm playing, uh, um, it's funny because she gets excited when she like looks at the TV and does something with the remote and clicks it around because then she turns around and looks at me and it's just like, look, I'm doing it, even though she has no idea what she's doing, right? It's just so
Yeah,
at least I think that she has no idea what she's doing, right? So at the end of the
yeah.
day, I definitely let my daughter see me play games for sure. My computer's in the basement, so she doesn't see me play on the computer, but she'll see me play on the Switch. If the Xbox or PlayStation is in the living room area, like she'll see me play that. So no worries there, whatever. Like it's like whatever at this point. I think at first though, I was kind of like on the fence. Let me just put it like
Mhm.
that for sure. Like I was like,
Okay.
"Uh, like I don't know, because like it just kind of I had this feeling like of like, oh, I don't want her to like get hooked on playing games or get hooked on watching the TV. But like the
Yeah,
truth
yeah.
is that like
Sheesh.
we're around so many screens right now that like if you wanted your kids to like not be on a screen, like you literally have to like shut them all off in the house, like even your own screen, like your phone screen, like any TV that you may be watching, even small monitors, like you have to have them off because whatever they're gonna want to, whatever you're doing, they're gonna want to do. If you're cleaning the dishes, more likely than not, they're gonna want to copy that, right? Which is why, like,
Yeah,
if
yeah,
you're
yeah.
going into becoming a parent, you notice, or even if you obviously are around a lot of kids, you notice a lot of the toys are like copies of what's in the kitchen, right? Because
Ah, true, true, true.
you kind of get what I'm saying, because they go and they like, for example, like Dot will go into the kitchen and pretend to cook and then bring me a plate of all these plastic toys that like look like food
Mm-hmm.
and be like,
Mm-hmm.
here you go, like she's serving me food,
Aw.
right?
Yeah.
Right, like it's so cute, but she's also copying what she knows that happens around that time of day, right? So you have to, obviously you have to be careful. You don't want your kid always thinking that you just play video games and that's what you care about and you don't care about them, which is super important. So keep mindful of that, future dads and current dads. You obviously don't want them to think that they're not loved. That's just a crappy feeling. Let's just put, it's a crappy feeling, right? So just be mindful of that, I guess, as well.
Okay, no, that's. I didn't think about it that way, but you're right. Like, I mean, I do. My mom has a video of me trying to grab my dad's Sega Genesis controller,
Oh,
because he was playing a game with my uncle, and I tried
nice. Oh,
grabbing
it's so
one,
fun.
and I actually kind of remember that because I think I was like 4 years old, but I
Yeah,
do
when the
remember
memories start
like
to stick. Yeah.
yeah, and then like my dad would play a lot, and I try to like play with him. I remember when he first bought
Yeah.
when he had Doom actually, and he first installed
Oh,
Doom. I
sick.
was like 5 or 6, and I may be aging myself at that point, but like big time. But it was one of the first thing. It was the first. Actually, it was the first time I ever considered a computer being a gaming like machine. And then after that, my dad
Interesting.
started buying us a lot of like kid games, and teaching us how to use the computer. But you're right. It's because
Yeah.
we would copy him, and I never
Yeah.
thought about it
Yeah.
that way. That's really important to know because I think like for my kid, I mean, once they're born,
Absolutely.
they're gonna see all these devices that I have. Like I have
Absolutely.
all the video games. I got a Switch. I got a PlayStation. I got an
Yep.
Xbox. I got a Nintendo. I got a PC.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
no, it's gonna be
and
hard.
and to kind of future proof this podcast a little bit, like when VR is around, and like if VR in the future isn't like a clear glass thing, then like you're literally not paying attention to what's happening in front of you.
Mhm. You're
So that's
literally not in the moment.
literally not in the moment, and that's just kind of like, in that kind of situation with the kid, is if they're like, dude, if they're like 18 years old, whatever, obviously, but but if they're like 2 1, it's not a good idea at all. Even like, it's just not even a good idea to be distracted if you're the one who's supposed to be watching it. Let me just put it like that,
Yeah.
right? But yeah, I think that's kind of like my final thoughts with when it comes to would I let them see me play games, for sure, but to a limit.
Cool, cool. No, thanks for that.
Yeah.
All right, so let's go with the next question then. How exactly do you split? I mean, I'm pretty sure I know, but I'd rather hear this from your own mouth. How do you
Uh-huh.
split your time between like all your duties, that meaning, being a dad, being a husband, your work, being at home, with like gaming? Like, exactly do you find the time to game, and how do you communicate that with your wife? Because I'm thinking, of course, of there's gonna be a time where like I just want 2 hours to like play games or stream, really.
Right,
So
right.
it's like
Yeah.
how
Yeah, it's so
exactly do
important.
you manage that? And I know my situation might be a very different, but
Yeah.
it'd be good to know to see like how you do it, and maybe hopefully I can somewhat replicate that. But anyway.
Yeah. Right, for sure. But so
He's like, I
so this
don't know if you want to do that.
but there's gonna be differences between every dad who's listening, right? If you're a single dad, if you're married, if you work 80 hours a week, 100 hours a week, 30 hours a week, whatever you do, it's gonna be different to how much actual time you can spend gaming, right? And to every dad, I'm gonna just start here. Like, you definitely don't want to put too much time on that, like during the day, right? Like, there's family is such an important thing. It sounds so cliche-ish, but like when you see them grow and time slipping, you realize just how important that family that you create really is, right?
Hmm.
But sorry, I just kind of lost my train of thought right there a little bit. But so the time management idea is, here's the thing: when it comes to how you can actually have time to play, it's about communicating it with your spouse. Like, whoever your spouse is, you have to communicate it with them. Period. Like, you have to say to them, I need and I want, or slash want, this time to play. How can I make it work, right? And if your spouse
Okay.
is like, I can't give you that time to play, right? Then you're like, how can we, like, and it's something important to you, right? They love you and they're married. Like, if you're married, right? Like obviously I'm talking to married people right now, right? Or people in
Hmm.
committed relationships, right? Like, if
Hmm.
you're in a committed relationship with this person, they should be loving you for you, right? And so they
Yeah.
understand that this is a part of you, right? Now, you're not
Yeah.
throwing that in their face and being like, you fucking man, you should know this already, that I play game. No, you know what I'm saying? You should like not be like that, right? Because like
Hmm.
gaming, it doesn't have to come first, right? But the thing
Exactly.
about it though is you have to spend time for yourself doing something that you like. If it's a hobby, if it's something that helps you distress, playing Apex, if that helps you distress, sometimes it
Hmm.
does. I swear to you, I swear it does for me because you get that good snipe and it feels really good. Whole night made, whole night,
Endorphins.
whole night made, right? But it like it all depends on what works for you, right? And if you have like a say like a group of friends that you play with, group of buddies that you played with for years, and these are your friends, right? And you maybe know them longer than your spouse or whatever, you know, or maybe you haven't. Maybe you just met this group of friends, right? And
Okay.
you've known your spouse for 15 years, right? Like the fact of the matter is, like if you're in a relationship and you should be able to you should be able to ask time from your spouse to do what you want to do, and you should also allow your spouse to have that time as well, right? um
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
with
Makes sense.
but but what comes first is the time that you guys spend together. Because your marriage is number one. Let me just put it like that. Your marriage is definitely number one. It's as important as like, or your relationship is number one. It's as important as you guys individually. At least that's how it should be, right? To have like a kind of healthier relationship. But the bottom line is you have to communicate what you want. So I've always communicated to my wife that at late at night when she's ready to go to sleep, like I want time to be able to play, right? Now, the money, or sorry, the ball is on my court to not stay up so late that I am screwed in the morning and I can't wake up and take care of my family, and take care of Dot, help her get to school and stuff like that, right? Like if that's going on, then like that's just not cool, right? And that's just like that's just literally me asking, or you know, or like the spouse or like the gamer asking for
Hmm.
too much from their spouse, right?
Hmm.
So there's definitely a limit, but let me put it like this too. You have to know your body. So it's like a very like kind of like very unionized, not unionized, very synergistic. Let's use a business term, synergistic type thing. If you're gonna break a little bit of sleep, if you're gonna lose a little bit of sleep one day, you have to make that up. You can't just
Yeah,
lose
yeah,
sleep. You can't just
yeah.
lose sleep. So you have to find times and be able to make that time up for your sleep, right? Or be able to eat healthy, or be able to do something healthier to make up that stress, that added stress that you're going to add onto yourself. Because you have to remember, it's a if you're going to game, you have to think about it of like, how are you going to be able to game when you're 50 years old, right? Like if you have a heart issue, if you have something. Because the thing about it is like, if you sit your entire life and you have a heart issue in the future, your doctor is definitely going to make you to stand up, move around, blah, 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 all that kind of stuff, X, Y, and Z. You're not. And if you're not healthy, it's not. You're not gonna have fun gaming because you're literally not healthy and stuff like that. So it's an idea of like thinking about the future, the far future, right? How is it gonna be? Think about it like this. Actually, let me put it like this: how do you want your kids, if you're a 30 something year old person, 35-year-old person, your parents are alive and kicking, how do you want to be seen by your 35-year-old kids, right? Like that's kind of the idea, right? And how do you want to be able to live with your 35-year-old kids, right? Let me just put it like that as well, right? Like what kind of relationship, right? Like if they taking care of you because you're just like so close, like you're like, you know, because you're just so ill or whatever. You know, that's the kind of things you have to think about if you want to be a dad gamer, if you want to be a gamer, because it's about being a dad at this point, and it's about taking care of yourself, because it's not just about you. And that's really the important thing. It's like it's literally not just about you. So you have to remember that with the time that you give. Now, personally, I'm able to give about 3 hours a night, depending on the night, depending on when I'm able to wake up. About 3 hours a night from the time that my wife goes to sleep, because she goes to sleep at a time that's easier for me. If your wife does not go to sleep at a time, or your spouse does not go to sleep at a time that's easier, and maybe they stay up just as late as you do, then you have to be able to play a little bit earlier if you're going to be able to have your quote unquote me time, right? If But at the same time, you've got to speak with your spouse on when you're going to have that time, right? And that time has to be, let me put it like this, has to be sacred for you, but easily stomped on. Right?
Okay, okay, okay. Yeah, yeah. Like if it's like
Yeah.
if for some reason they need you, I'm guessing, or
Yep.
stuff of that nature, it's like you gotta like drop it basically. Like okay, fine. Like all right, but anyway, cool. No, thank you for those answers, man. I think that pretty much clears it. Like learning how to basically like anything, you have to communicate that with your spouse. I think what's really important is that even though you have that set time for yourself,
Yeah.
in the back of your head, knowing that it can at any moment it can be like, hey, I need you right now. It's like it's I guess you just need to be flexible, right? And I know for you, it's
Exactly.
worked out a lot
Yep.
because your wife goes to bed a lot earlier, which is nice. Mine
Right.
doesn't. So yeah, I mean,
Hmm.
it's gonna be interesting once the kids here.
Yeah.
All right. So my third question is, I know you got a Switch not so long ago. Has it become harder to play games for you, or does having the Switch made it get easier?
Great question. Actually, it's a great question because it's kind of goes back to the other question. And the answer is they like to copy what you're doing, and
Mm-hmm.
especially if it's a nice bright screen with some cool animations going on, it looks cool to you. It's gonna look cool to them at some point too, right?
Mm.
And the more they see it, and the more that their eyes like realize what they're looking at, and the more that their brain realizes what they're looking at, the more they're gonna think that's so cool. And I want to start trying to do that, just like dad, or just like
Oh
mom,
shit.
or
Okay.
just like parent. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So I in and here's my latest example. So I had to go to the hospital recently with my daughter. She was sick. Thankfully everything's fine. But I brought the Switch with me to the hospital because I was thinking, she's gonna be so sick. She's gonna be tired. She's probably just gonna lay on me. I'm probably gonna be able to just play and chill, right, and explore Breath of the Wild. Of course, I turn it on. She turns around because she was laying on my shoulder. She turns around. She sits in front of me, and she's just like, "Ooh."
And
And
you're like, darn
then she starts
it.
tapping the screen, and I'm like, "Ah, dang!" And so I just like put on something random that like she would be able to just like touch on like on with the remote and stuff
Yeah.
because there was no way I had to like take the remotes off and give her one, and I could take one, right? So
Oh.
it came down to that, which was frustrating, but in hindsight, I get it. I get it. If we were in the hospital, there's nothing else to do. I didn't have any toys for her, but any toy that I could bring for her, I was gonna have the coolest thing.
Yeah.
But the mobility of the Switch does allow me that, like, if I need to watch her outside while she's playing outside, let's say, and if she's actually distracted by being outside, and I really don't want to, let's say, like, I'm tired and I really can't be running with her, yeah, I can sit down and play the Switch and it's chill, whatever. You're outside, glare maybe a little bit, but whatever, right? But the thing is, also, is like, as the parent, you're not a babysitter, and really, as the only adult there, you're pretty much the coolest thing to play with, the coolest like they want to play with you like no matter what, right?
Yeah.
So you
Yeah.
go outside and there's like a car or like a tree or some rocks or a ball, whatever. They'll be like, play, throw, and they'll want your attention, right? Because you're the adult, you're the coolest thing, you're like their freaking hero every single day, right? You get them out of bed, you get them food, you play with them, right? Like it's when they're really really young, before when they hate you, or like when they're really really young, that's what they want. They just want to spend all their time with you, right? So it honestly, it's actually kind of hard to have that time to like just be able to play, right? If I'm on my phone, and this is how I know that like I can't even be on my own technology. If I'm on my phone and she's like dancing to Frozen or Hamilton, like she'll see me on my phone, grab my hand and grab my hand and pull me and be like, dance, dance, and I'm screwed. I gotta dance with
Yeah.
her.
Yeah. Yeah. All right.
Like I have to, so I gotta, yeah, so yeah.
All right. So I'm gonna ask my final question. So how do you think of, like, so your baby's almost 3 years old. It's gonna get into the, they're gonna be in that age where, they can now process information better, right? As they grow older, of course, they'll probably gonna see you game and stuff like that. So my
Yeah.
question is, how are you going to introduce them to video games? And are there games that you have in mind already that you want them to play first? Like, how is that going to look like?
Ooh, that's I like that question a lot. Okay, so the introduction to video games for when they're actually gonna be able to play video games. I will know. I feel like personally, I will know, um, when my daughter's gonna be able to play because of her ability to at least write letters, right? Like at least like the basic form of the A and a B and a C, right? And say A, B, C, right? That's because I know her hand-eye coordination and finger dexterity and strength will be strong enough to actually do the correct things with the remote, right? First of all. And second of all, she'll be able to like comprehend things that she's putting down onto a surface. Let me just put it like that, because screens are a surface, right? And if she knows that she's affecting the surface with the remote, she also understands just how much she's affecting the surface with the pen.
Mm-hmm.
You know, it's just kind of like the way like kind of like the way their brain works. And right now she likes to draw and like scribble on paper, which is like a good sign that she's almost there, but she's not there yet, right? That's kind of how I know when she's gonna be able to play. Now the first games that I want her to play are honestly gonna be computer games, because I'm gonna probably have her play like those really kiddie games, computer games, like the ones that are like the learning type games, but they're so easy to play and they really teach you about using the computer. And I really want her to understand that. And the first game that I think I'm really gonna actually like sit down with her and like get to like actually teach her to play, honestly, I think it's gonna be Minecraft. Like I really do think it's gonna be Minecraft. So I think we're all gonna play Minecraft together as a family, like me, my wife, and my daughter, and any future kids. Because honestly, Minecraft is pretty educational and really fun just to burn hours. You know.
Mm-hmm. That's true. That's true. Yeah, and then and it's part of a creative process, right? Where they're not just jumping on top of Goombas. They're building things. So interesting.
Yeah.
Minecraft
Yeah.
as
Yeah.
the first game, huh?
Yep. Yeah.
Interesting.
Yeah. Now the first game that like I want to be like, daughter, come look at Dot. Like this is the legacy of your father. I'm just gonna sit her down and she's gonna hear. Drun, 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 drun,
Oh man.
Anyways, yeah.
Cool, dude. Thank you, Master Rein, for a lot of that insight. I think that's pretty neat. Definitely gave me a lot of things to think about, and definitely gonna practice my wife. I want to go game speech.
Yeah,
So,
it's a hard one, but
yeah.
it's a hard conversation to have. Trust me, but I understand. But it's a conversation to have.
Okay. So, all right. So, you have questions for me?
Yeah, so the questions everybody that like a silly squirrel asked me, they're very much like to get an idea of like a dad who is currently trying to play as much as possible, right? But with a kid and trying to spend as much as time with their family. Now, I'm gonna ask silly squirrel some questions because this is a perspective of somebody who's entering that phase, unknown of what to expect and that kind of thing. So here's some of the questions that I think are going to be very valuable for anybody to hear, right? Or anybody to like also kind of ask, I guess. First question, silly squirrel. Actually, you know what? Very similar question actually to what you asked me. Since before, let's just kind of go on the line. What's the first game that you want to play when your child can? I don't know what what you're having, what kind of scroll you're having, right? Flying or terrestrial, right? Or tree or whatever. But but once you have your squirrel and your squirrel's able to play games, like, and like I said, you kind of understand like, oh, they can play games with me now. What's the first game you want to play with them?
Dang.
Oh.
Funny when you said Minecraft, it really got me thinking. Like, yeah, that is actually not a bad game to like start playing. I always thought that probably the first game I'd play with them would be like something like Super Mario, like a Sonic the Hedgehog or Super Mario.
Clásico. Classic.
Yeah, but there's a reason that they're classics, right? It's like they're easy to pick
There's
up.
a reason. Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
That's true. That's true.
Like the other day,
They were made that way. Yeah, that's true. They were made that way.
exactly.
100%.
Like the other day, I was playing with my neighbor's kid, and they were trying hard to play like a Call of Duty, but the kid just couldn't. And this was like maybe he's like 6 years old, and I would tell him, "Oh, you have to press this button," but it's like for him, it's just not clicking, right? And so I'm like, "All right, well, why don't we just play this?" And we played like what's it called, Ghouls and Goblins, or Ghost and Goblins. I forget the right name,
Uh-huh.
but it's an old Super Nintendo game, and it was on the Nintendo Switch, on more specifically the Super Nintendo expansion online set thing, whatever, the library, and
Nice.
he was playing that and he was having fun, and he was jumping, throwing spears, and then we eventually changed to like Sonic the Hedgehog, which he recognized because of the movies that just came out not so long ago, and so he started playing that, and you could see like he was like understanding a little bit of that of how it plays, and I think I'm like, huh, interesting. Like the kid knows what Call of Duty is, which honestly terrifies me, but he couldn't play it. He couldn't. Like he didn't understand exactly how to do it. And then you bring him to something a little easier, like a Sonic the Hedgehog, which really requires only a few buttons. It was like he was having the time of his life. So that kind of like made a mental note for me. It was like if I ever teach my child to play a game, it would be like a Super Mario or a Sonic the Hedgehog. So yeah.
Yeah, I like that. I like that. That's so cool. That's cool. Yeah, definitely. And like, there's definitely so much to go off of. You
Mm-hmm.
know, there's definitely so much that you can like, you can get into the Mario parties and the multiplayer Sonic games or whatever, and then
Mm-hmm.
the ones where they all play together, and then obviously Smash. Like there's so much
Mm-hmm.
to go into from there. I think that's so cool. And obviously, like for example, me in Minecraft. Excuse me.
Mm-hmm.
Burped. Me and Minecraft, I have history with it, but not as much history as like Mario and Sonic. Let's be real.
Mm-hmm.
And the nostalgia of like your kid seeing you play something that you love is I think is a big deal, because to any of us who like remember like a
Mm-hmm. Master Rain,
hold
your
on,
mic,
okay,
yeah,
yeah,
your
it's
mic.
back. Yeah, it's back. It's back. Ugh, it's so annoying. I don't know why my computer like does that. Like kind of like stops my mic for a second. I wonder if it's my mic or if it's my computer doing it. I gotta figure that out. But because I have music playing in the background just to play it, and my music was fine. So I think my mic is hopefully not dying. Anyways, I was saying. So think about like we're pretty old, but think about like when your parent, guardian, somebody you cared about who took care of you, whenever they did something or showed you something that they really liked, right? Remember the spark in their eyes and how happy it made them, and like just like it kind of made you excited, right? It kind of made you want to like that kind of stuff, right? Because like my dad really liked boxing a lot, and I remember just
Yeah.
like Mike Tyson would fucking fight, and Mike Tyson would come around, and like that got me into boxing, which got me into UFC, which like now I'm not really into that kind of stuff so much anymore. But like every time I see that like a boxing match, I always think about like, oh, my dad used to get all the uncles around, all his friends around, and like that was a big deal. Like that was pretty cool, like so like that's gonna remember like me. She's gonna hear me playing like games with my friends, and like she's gonna think like that was pretty cool. Dad has friends, like dad has people he hangs out with. He's got a life, right? Even though he's in the basement playing games, like he obviously has a life because he's got people that he's talking to, right? um, but yeah, kind of lost my train of thought there like, at the end, but I hope that kind of answers.
Yeah, he kind of did.
Okay, when I cut off, it messed up. And I got a lot messed up. I was like, crap, I having to wait having a way to explain. It's like, oh frick, it's freaking Mike.
All right. What's your next question? So what's the next
Okay,
question, Master Rein?
sweet. Okay, so let's see here. I've got a few written down. Okay, if you only have 1 hour to play every 3 days, you have 1 hour to play.
Oh
You
shit.
know
Uh-huh.
what? What game would you play? What would you do?
Oh
You got one
man.
hour every 72 hours. You got like about an hour and a half if you're lucky. What would you play?
Oh man. Dude. I think immediately I want to say FIFA because it's something I can pick up and just not have to like really think about it and just enjoy. Dang, because I thought FIFA, and then I thought Counter Strike, and then I thought
Uh huh.
like whatever. If there's like if for some reason I'm playing like The Witcher 4, like play that when I can. That's kind of like okay. So that's like the one thing I'm like worried about. It's like and I think, and I've seen that more with like adults that have had a few kids. It's like they pick games that they can just play for a little bit and leave. So like your
Yep.
Overwatches, your Gundam Evolution, right? Your fighting
You're not doing
games, your
Skyrim.
sports. Yeah, like they're not
Yeah,
playing
yeah,
Skyrim, they're not
yeah.
playing Cyberpunk, they're not
World of
playing
Warcraft.
World of Warcraft. Yeah, like it's those are story games that take more time. Now, granted, there's story games like, let's say, a Red Dead 2 or a Witcher that you can like play a mission and then save, right?
But you're picking one is a thing.
Yeah, but
See,
it's
I,
like,
I have Breath of the Wild. You're picking The Witcher. You know.
yeah, yeah, exactly. Or like, even Mass Effect would be a great example where it's like I can play one mission and I know it's gonna take me like half an hour to 40 minutes, and I'm playing a story.
Yeah, yeah,
But
yeah.
I think, but that's also the thing about why I like older games. It's because that they give you that break. Like I've been playing Condemned, and I play an hour and a half, and I do like maybe 1 to 2 chapters, and it's like
Uh,
it's the perfect place to stop. Because like, okay, I played 2 chapters, I can
yeah,
stop now, play later, and I know exactly where I'm
yeah,
at. While like,
yeah.
nowadays with like bigger RPGs, like ironically, The Witcher also, it's like, yes, you can play a mission and it's going to take you that long, but because there's so many other things to do, it's like you have to decide what you're going to do right away. um,
Yeah,
with
yeah,
Red Dead, I think that's a little bit easier because the game's a little more linear, but that's
yeah.
what I mean. It's like, I think at first shot I would say FIFA and Counter Strike, but even Counter Strike is complicated because it's some games go past an hour depending on your skill and the skill of your teammates.
Yeah.
And it's definitely happened to me a few times where it's like, hey guys, I have 2 hours, and then I get with my like Counter Strike friends, and we literally only played maybe like one full ranked match because it took an hour.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, exactly. Exactly.
So I don't
Exactly.
know. That's a good question.
Yeah. Now, to any new dads who are listening to this, because I'm sure if you've been a dad, anybody who's listening who's been a dad for 5 years, you understand already. Oh yeah, don't worry about it. But
Mm-hmm.
new dads going into this, you might be like, oh shoot, man, like I really have to give up some game time. Like, listen to my final thoughts, and I'll give you everybody some like peace of mind on that one, right? Because it's important. You will have to make that sacrifice at some point. At some point, right? So it's very important to understand that that's gonna come. You know?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, yeah. So next question that I have for you, sir, have you talked to your wife about any of this time management ideas with gaming? Essentially, have you talked to your wife about how you're going to work out gaming time? If not, how do you plan on introducing that topic?
I actually did already. It's looking a lot like kind of when I answered your previous question. It's like
Yeah.
she's already setting the expectations like you're not going to have enough time. She's like, don't expect the amount of time you had now. And even then, it's not like I have a lot of
Yep.
time, anyways.
Yep.
So it's
Yep.
just
Yeah.
like, oh,
Yep.
so it's
Yep.
like,
Yep.
I really need to, like you said, plan it out more. And I think that's going to be like the hardest part where it's like, I think, guys, and just so everyone knows, like once this happens, like me on stream might happen once a week, maybe Sundays, but it's gonna be one of those where it's like we're gonna have to take it week by week, you know.
Yeah. Exactly.
We're
Exactly.
still
Yep.
gonna try to keep keep a calendar. It might be that after we'll have like an hour or two, and maybe I have to do dishes or do other chores, but we'll see. We'll see. It's honestly one of those. It's been a conversation, but it hasn't been a full like. Oh yeah, we have it set up. It's like no. It's still like the conversation's there.
Yeah. Yes. 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 It's important to have that conversation because your spouse, your wife also deserves to have the time that they need as well, right? Like if they
Exactly.
want to
Yeah.
have free time, then you have to give it to them as well, right? You can't just expect to be the only one to uh to have that kind of time, right? And that kind of time becomes very valuable, for sure. Okay, and I really appreciate that answer, man. And for everybody listening, we're trying to be as real as possible, right? Because this is what I know. I know a lot of guys are going through, right? How many times have we seen the dudes bring Call of Duty on the PlayStation into the birthing room, bro? It's literally a meme right now since Call of Duty Modern Warfare 2 is out right now, bro. There's gonna be so many dads in the birthing room being
Playing
like,
Modern
hey,
Warfare.
to the left, to the left, to the left. It's just gonna be like,
That's true. That's true. That's very true.
oh my god, I love those videos. They're so funny. But
Dude,
bros,
was that
kings,
was
be
that three
careful out
questions or
there.
four?
That was only three. Here's the last one real fast.
All right.
What scares you the most? It's literally like last one question, right? But what scares you the most about becoming a dad?
I think what scares me the most. This is it's funny because this is not really about gaming, right? It's more of a personal thing, right? But I'll bring it back to gaming. I think what scares me the most is it's kind of weird because it's like my mom and dad raised me in a very specific manner, with a specific culture in mind,
Yeah.
and having my child being born and raised here in the States is gonna that's already a challenge, because like we
Yeah.
like you, at least, like you weren't raised specifically in Nicaragua, but you lived in Nicaragua.
Right.
you know
Right.
so
Exactly.
you got to experience that side of your family a lot too.
Yeah.
um and it's why I think, like, like, let's be real, like your Spanish might not be the best, but like you're Nika,
Yeah.
like you're
Yep.
very Nika.
I did not live very much time in Nicaragua, but yes, exactly.
But it made an impression on you that you can, like, that you would
Exactly.
identify with it. And for me,
Exactly.
that's
Yeah.
kind of scary because that means my kid's gonna have to grow up here in the States, um, specifically in a city or close to cities that, yes, they're very diverse, but in terms of Latin American culture, it's very different comparative
Yeah.
to the actual thing.
Yes.
And
Big time.
what scares me is that it's like having a child that doesn't really embrace those roots, and it's up to me to make sure that they do. So I don't know. It's actually it's a good question because it's definitely been. I've mentioned this to my parents. I've mentioned this to my wife. You know, that I think my biggest fear is my kid just not giving a crap about his heritage. And
Yeah.
we're
Very
really
interesting.
we're
Yeah.
really gonna try our
Yeah.
best to make that work. So yeah. And in terms of gaming, my biggest fear is that my kid thinks I'm lame because I play games, and I kind of doubt that will happen, to be honest.
Yeah.
Because at
Yeah.
this
Yeah.
point,
Yeah.
gaming has become part of the mainstream,
Right.
big time.
Exactly. Exactly. Yeah.
So I don't think that they'll find it lame. If anything, they might find it kind of cool, or at least I hope so.
We hope in the next 5 years, what happens is there's a big change. We
Yeah,
hope, right?
I don't know. I just want like, if my kid's playing the latest, like if he's 17 and he's playing the latest Call of Duty, that I'll be able to play with him. No, that's a good question, Master Ray, and I really appreciate it.
Thanks,
I think
brother.
that is a very good question, a very deep question, and what a way to
Yeah.
finish it up. But what are your
Yeah,
final
dude.
thoughts then?
Well, I think you should kind of go first. My final thoughts are kind of like I kind of want to like leave them off there, but I want to ask you first. Like I can not ask you, but I want to leave the floor for you to give your final thoughts as a new dad going into this, and I'll give my final thoughts as like a dad who's been in it.
I think my
Yeah.
final thoughts are, I'm looking forward to meeting the baby squirrel. I I think gaming will always be a part of my life. There hasn't been a moment in my life where I haven't gamed, like literally. But I don't know. It's just really weird. I don't see myself outgrowing this, and maybe I'll be wrong in a few
Yeah.
years, but I mean, I highly doubt it. I highly
Same
doubt it.
here,
I really
dude.
highly doubt it, especially after building my own PC and learning. It's like it's hard. Anyway, but my
Yeah.
final thoughts is I
Yeah.
hope my kid, embraces this part of me, and likes it. And I hope that a lot of
Yeah.
we can make memories together by doing other things. But I mean, yes, I'll always be your father. Yes, I'll always be trying to say what's best for you. But I kind of want to share more moments where they can just be themselves and literally say whatever they want. I mean, to an extent. But literally
Yeah,
say
yeah,
whatever
yeah.
they want and just enjoy that moment, either through video games, through a beer, or just sitting,
Oh yeah.
like.
That's super cool, dude. That's awesome. And to all the guys out there listening that like everybody listening to couldn't share a moment like that with their dad, like that's definitely something that I want to give my kids of the future. Like let them have that opportunity if they want it, to just like sit down and just we're adults, but we get to be friends with each other, and there's a lot of love there. And there's that's something that like it's a goal to strive for. Let me put it like that. It's definitely a goal to strive for, which definitely is a good segue into my final thoughts here, because honestly, like in everything that's going on right now in your lives, like your family is number one always. Like you don't need to like work your ass off to like be a good dad. You really just need to like kind of be there, like, because time, you're never going to be able to buy time, right? Time is the only thing that you just cannot get back or cannot earn back or whatever. So time is such a valuable thing to spend with each other, right? That being said, you don't actually serve your spouse, like, to everybody who's married. Like if you're single, as a single parent, it's a little bit different. You might already understand this kind of feeling, but to everybody who's in a relationship, you're not serving baby mama as a dad by taking care of the baby, unless like she's super exhausted and you're taking time, like that she needs help with the baby, that's different. But like if it's your time with the baby, that's dad and baby time. That's not you serving your wife. So you have to remember to serve your wife, and you have to remember to serve your spouse, right? Even though you're having your dad and baby time, you have to always remember to make that time up for baby mama and for yourself. It's very important, no matter how much time you give, right? And that's where we always say, hey, communicate. That's what we talked about so much before. Communicate what your expectations are and what you feel like you want. After all the fights that I've had with my wife, she's gonna like look at me and go for saying that, right? But after all these fights, the truth is, it's like it comes down to communication. The better the communication, the easier the fight. Let's put it like that, right? And you have to be willing to sacrifice. It's so important. I hate to say it. You gotta be willing to sacrifice. You have to be willing to let go of time that potentially you wanted to game. But here's the thing is that you'll get that time back in the future. So you got to serve your marriage. Like you can't just say that, like, oh, I took care of the kid, I did the dishes. What else do you want from me today? I cleaned the house. What else do you want from me today? Like I did everything today. What else do you want from me today? Like you have to serve your relationship with the person that you're with. Like if that's not the parent of your baby, whatever. Like you have to serve that relationship with the person that you're with, who is cohabiting with you, if
Hmm.
that's the thing,
Yeah, yeah,
because
yeah.
that is as important as you are.
Oh, I see. Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
I think that's a good way to put it. It's not about like checking boxes, but it goes beyond that. And I think that's a good point too, Master Rain, that it's more about serving, right? Like it's, yeah, you did the dishes, yeah, you cleaned the floors, yeah, you did this, you did that. It's like you keep doing that. It's not about keeping a score, you know.
Right. Right.
and,
Right.
and I think that's what's
Right.
important here.
Exactly.
It's beyond
Yeah.
that. It's servicing the other two people. Now it's gonna be two more, because you love them and not because you're just trying to one up someone or your wife or anything.
Mm-hmm.
So that's a
Mm-hmm.
good point.
Mm-hmm. 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 Yeah, and I hope these tips kind of like help everybody. Like even if you've been a dad already for like some time, 10 years even, but challenges with this kind of talk, I hope this kind of helps settles just some of those feelings, right? Because I know that like my daughter's only 3, I only have one child, right? Once I have two, things are different. Once I have three, things are different, right? We're down right now, we're just talking about new dads. This is for newer dads, first time getting into this mess, because this is the scariest time. Once you have your second and third, it's not as scary.
Mm-hmm. That's what
Yeah.
I've heard too.
Yeah.
All right,
Yep.
thank you,
Yep.
Master Rain, for that wonderful, wonderful chat. I really appreciate it. For all the people that are thinking about being parents or are already parents, like, let us know what you guys think. Like, hit us up on Instagram or at the comments when once this video is posted on YouTube, or send us an email at ReviveMeBroGaming@gmail.com. Let us know what you think. We would love to hear your thoughts, because I mean, like Master Ray said, he's been a daddy for almost 3 years. I'm about to be one. Maybe one of y'all has already been a daddy for way longer.
5,
10, 4 or 5 years. Yeah. So we would love to hear. We'd love to hear, or if you what other questions you have, like, feel free to ask us. But anyway, again, thank you so much, Master Ray. And this was a very good topic. I'm glad we got to chat about it. And that's it.
Here's
for
the last bit
episode.
of advice.
Go ahead.
Actually, last bit of advice. The wives are always right. The wives are always right. I'm just saying this so I can survive the night. I love y'all.
All right, that's it for today's episode. Thank you so much for joining us. Remember to follow us on all our social medias. You can check the links below on the description of this podcast. And remember to leave us a comment. And we're looking forward to our next episode, which is going to be the Gundam Evolution review. We're going to have
be a Gundam episode.
Yeah, we're going to have a special guest for that one. It's going to be fantastic. And again, thank you so much, guys, for listening and tuning to us. This is your boy, Silly Squirrel. And your boy,
Master Rein.
Yep, your boy, Master Rein, signing out. And remember, kids, never stop reviving.
Get your healers in order. Peace, people.
All right, peace.